Hey, this is Chris with President's Club, and it is our third week in the book Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. If you have not seen part one or part two, we encourage you to go back and find those videos and watch those and check those out, and make sure you look at the notes that come along with it. You should have notes in front of you with fill in the blanks and then reflective questions to help you to apply the information from Brian Tracy's book. Again, this is from the Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy, part 3. So we'll jump right in and give you a couple more points, tagging right on to where we were before. Number 1 today is the power of positive affirmations. The power of positive affirmations. The key to reaching your peak sales state of mind is to prepare yourself psychologically before every sales call. Here's how Brian Tracy says to do that. You say these words to yourself: I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. When you like yourself, people start to like you, and when people like you, people buy from you. If you walk into the house saying, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself, typically people are going to hate you. You're not looking to make sympathy sales, you're looking to make confidence sales. So you have to be confident in the fact that you like yourself. He also says start talking to yourself early. So the question that I would ask you is, what did you say to yourself when you started today? What did you say to yourself when you got out of bed this morning? Because that will directly tie into your ability to close sales today. So you have to start talking to yourself early and talking to yourself in a positive way. We've all known people that talk to themselves in a negative way, and they're constantly pushing themselves down, and so then they end up finding failure. The way that you find success is begin by talking to yourself about the success that you will have and about the person that you are. Whatever you say to yourself with feeling is accepted by your subconscious as an instruction or command. Whatever you say to yourself with feeling. So if you say to yourself, I am a great salesperson, over and over again, and you say it with feeling, your subconscious takes it as a command that you are a great salesperson. Your subconscious is only living off of what you've told it. Your subconscious mind will then give you the words, actions, and feelings consistent with the message that you sent to it. Your subconscious is only responding to what you fed it, what you've told it. So whatever the words you're saying to yourself will directly affect how you perform to the world. Before going in to see a prospect, you should say to yourself, I am a great salesperson, and this is going to be a great call. Because if you say those words, your subconscious says this is how things are going to act and how things are going to play out. So it gives you the words and it gives you the actions to complete it. Do the opposite and say, I'm a horrible salesperson, and this is going to be a horrible call. More than likely, that's what's going to take place. It's what you're saying to yourself that matters. So number 1 was the power of positive affirmations. Number 2 is the obstacles to sales success. The obstacles to sales success, he says there's 2 of them. Number 1 is the fear of failure. He says, Brian Tracy, the fear of failure is the biggest single reason for failure in adult life. The biggest single reason for failure in adult life. He reminds us that it is not failure that is the biggest reason. It is the fear of failure that's the biggest reason. One of my fears of failure, I guess you could say, is ice skating. The thought of ice skating terrifies me because I always tell my wife, what if I fall and then you run over my fingers, I lose all of my fingers? I'm aware that's not exactly how it works. But the fear of it keeps me from going out and doing it. Now, I have gone ice skating before, and when you fall, it hurts for a little bit, but not near as bad as what you think it's going to fall. So the failure is not the actual problem. Failure is not that bad. When I fall, I can get right back up. The fear of failure keeps me from going out on the ice. The fear of failure keeps most people from going out and making sales. It's not failure. There are going to be some houses that you go into and you're not going to make a sale. There are going to be some houses that you go into and you'll make a sale no matter what you do. But the fear of failure keeps you from going out and even finding those. Fear of failure in the mind of the customer is one of the biggest reasons why people don't buy. We've all made really dumb purchases. We've all bought things that we shouldn't have bought. We've bought things and we think, why in the world did I do that? The fear of doing that again is what causes us sometimes not to like salespeople. And so the customer you're dealing with has fear as well. So your job as a salesperson is to alleviate that fear. But if you're going in with a fear of failure and they're coming into the conversation with a fear of buying, the double fear is not going to be good for you. Double fear does not make a good sale. So you have to come in confident at what you're doing, not worried about the failure, but worried about helping the person so that you can alleviate their fear. The second fear is fear of rejection. The fear that the person might say no, the person might not like you, the person might not like your prospect. This is triggered by the possibility of rudeness, disapproval, criticism toward the salesperson or the product. So fear of failure, fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is worried about what if they don't like the product? What if they push me out of the house? What if they say no? And the answer to that is, what does it matter to you? Your job is simply to go. The obstacles to self-success are fear of failure, fear of rejection. Number three, the salesperson's average day. They did a study, Columbia University did a study and found the average salesperson works approximately 1.5 hours per day. Now, they said they're there and they're on site for much longer than that, but they actually work for 90 minutes out of the day. They said the average first sales call is usually made around 11 a.m. The last sales call is typically made around 3:30 p.m. There's not a lot of window there. They say that most salespeople get up, get started, get their coffee, move paper, do things, whatever, and it's almost lunchtime before they make the first phone call. And then when they end, there's still plenty of day left. And so the average salesperson is avoiding it because of those fears, the fear of failure and the fear of rejection. So the question that we would ask you are you an average salesperson? Or are you a salesperson who displays excellence? The only way to answer that is to look at what time did you make your first sales call this morning. If your first sales call was made after 8:30, you're falling closer into the category of average. If it was made at 7:30, you're falling more into the side of showing excellence. When's the last call you'll make today? That'll tell you if you're an average salesperson or one that displays excellence. Number four, the brake on sales performance. The brake on sales performance. The fear of rejection acts like a subconscious brake that holds people back and causes them to underperform. We've all heard Andy talk about how if you're trying to ride a bike but hold the brake at the same time, it's really hard to move forward. And what Brian Tracy is saying is the fear of rejection is like having a brake from your subconscious. The subconscious is holding the brake so that you can't go forward. So you have to break that, let go of the brake so you can move forward. Here's a way that you look at this and ask yourself the question, am I holding the brakes on my business? If you received a list of 50 highly qualified prospects, 90%, so 45 of whom were guaranteed to buy if you could call on them within 1 day period. So you received 50 people, 45 of them I'm guaranteeing are going to buy, but you have to call them within the next 24 hours. So the question would be this: what time would you start? What time would you end? How many breaks would you take? How would you work differently if you knew 90% were going to purchase? If you knew that 90% were going to buy? See, if the answer most of the time would be I'd start immediately right now. Or I would start calling, if it's in the morning at 7 a.m., the earliest I can call. I'd call as late as I could call because I want to get as many of me because I'm guaranteed to have success. I can tell you this, the top salespeople look at things like that. When they make phone calls, they're not looking at phone calls based on, is this phone call going to turn to a sale? They're looking at phone call based on, I know I've got to do a certain amount of activity and it'll equal a certain amount of success. So they're getting started early because they're not worried as much about rejection. They're focused on their activity. Number 5, rejection is not personal. Rejection is not personal. Rejection has nothing to do with you. Brian Tracy says it's like the rain or the sunshine. It just happens from time to time. You've got to let go of rejection as if they're rejecting you. These people don't know you. They have no idea who you are. You're coming there because they asked you to be there. So they're not rejecting you. They're more or less rejecting their family or protecting their family. And so it doesn't have anything to do with you. So if that's the case, then you can alleviate the fear of rejection. Because if they reject you, that's not rejecting you, it's rejecting the product or rejecting their family. He says this: some will, some won't, so what? What's next? Some will, some won't, so what? What's next? He is, in that part of the book, he is talking about letting go of the fear of rejection and just focus on the activity. And number 6, never give up. The most fundamental qualities for success in sales are boldness and persistence. It takes boldness to get up and face the day. It takes persistence to keep coming back day after day. So let me ask you this question. Do you display boldness in your sales activities for your business? Do you approach the phone in almost in fear, or do you approach it in boldness? Boldness doesn't mean rudeness. It just means confidence in knowing what you're doing and that you're helping people, and confident that you are a great salesperson, that you like yourself and people like you so you can help other people. Persistence, though, is the ability to keep showing up over and over and over again, showing up tomorrow, then showing up the next day. And persistence is not based off of results, but based off a commitment you've made to yourself. So persistence says, I've committed to this, so I'm going to do this regardless of if it's raining or if the sun's shining, regardless if they rejected me or if they pushed me off or didn't buy, I'm going to keep showing up over and over again. Here's the good news. Courage is a habit. A lot of times we say those people were born with courage or they were born that way. That's not really true. Courage is a habit. It's something you learn and it's something you develop. It's a muscle that you can build. So the good news is if it's a habit, you can develop it. You can move forward with that. So the big thing that Brian Tracy is trying to get across to you is failure and rejection are not things that you need to fear. The way that you alleviate these fears is you build the view you have of yourself. If you say to yourself, I am a great salesperson, if you say to yourself, I like myself and other people like me, then you start to believe that, and that belief becomes stronger than your fears. Look at the last 7 days. How many phone calls did you make? How many appointments did you book? How many people did you sit down with? If that number is not where you want it to be, what's the reason why? Are you having a fear of failure, a fear of rejection? If you're lacking activity, why are you lacking activity? Is it because of fear of failure or fear of rejection? If you can remove those things and you start speaking to yourself, you say, I am a person that issue pays $50,000 a month. I am a person that issue pays $50,000 a month. I am a person that issue pays $50,000 a month. Your subconscious begins to believe it and tells you you need to go make phone calls because you are a person that issue pays $50,000 a month. And because you are a person that issue pays $50,000 a month, then obviously you are a person that runs enough appointments a week in order to issue pay $50,000 a month. It all ties into what you're saying to yourself and removing the fear of failure and the fear of rejection. Make sure to check out the notes and go through the reflection questions. Those are there to help you to apply this information. Thank you for plugging in. We'll see you next week.